strategy for paper 1, and then we'll be proceeding with people and environment. Okay, so in the meanwhile, I'll request others, please don't share your screen so that everyone has access to the screen. Now, when we come to section A, that's the first introduction, we have 10 units to cover. Now, of those 10 units, we would understand how we proceed. So, let's talk about the very first unit. So, the first unit is where we say understanding the concepts of teaching. Now, here in 2019 there were few new additions that were there, and those the most important ones are highlighted in yellow, as you can see. So we have these aspects that are there. The one is reflective. So what is reflective learning, reflective teaching? Talking about Bloom's taxonomy, those are some of the commonly often asked questions these days. Then we have Swayam Prabha and MOOC courses that are there. Believe at least one question would be there from either of three. Now all these three videos are available at ExamRace, so you can just go and check out the individual topics there. We have also brought in the QR code, so you can just scan the QR code and you would have access to the, you can directly view the complete playlist for the teaching aptitude. Now the next important one is CBCS. I believe most of you are familiar with it. This is a basic topic that is there, which is now part of your curriculum indeed, so it shouldn't be a problem with you. Now choice-based credit system, at least you have one question that would be asked. If not on choice based, then you would have on Swayam or Swayam Prabha. So any of those topics would have one of the questions for sure. Now again, there are issues which are recent. Now these recent issues, when I say, focus mainly on the contemporary happenings, mainly in the field of education, environment. So these two become very, very important topics when it comes to general knowledge, contemporary information that must be retained. Now here, the next one is research. Under research, we have the basics of research, the basic research methodology that's indeed asked every time. You have the quantitative method, the qualitative method, the various approaches to research. So those are some of the basic and the well-known concepts that you need to know. But besides that, what is again very, very important is understanding the approach for positivism, post-positivism, which is newly introduced in the syllabus. Very, very important topics, and there are direct questions on these, so not very, very difficult to score in these sections. And then methods of research, till now there were direct questions. So let's say which method would be applied in which scenario. It was a kind of direct question, but over the years we have realized that there are conceptual questions coming from this section. So when I say conceptual questions, what does it mean? There would be, let's say, a case study that would be given, and then on that case study you would be asked to discuss whether it is a qualitative approach, whether it's a quantitative approach. So the types of the question that are asked these days are much more applied, much more conceptual. They are not based on direct definitions. So that's very important to understand for the research. And then is research ethics. Plagiarism, falsification, fabrication are some of the important concepts that come in research ethics. Again, we have covered this in a separate lecture available in this playlist, so you can just check that out. The next topic that we focus on is comprehension. Now since most of you, I believe, are students of English literature and English, so this should not be a problem topic for you, and you can easily secure 5 on 5. So when you have 50 questions in hand and you are able to secure at least 5 correct here, you have a 10% edge. So that 10% edge really matters. The next is communication. Now under communication, we have the various aspects of communication. Now this is a very, very simple topic and scoring topic. There are direct questions from this section. What is a verbal communication, non-verbal communication, the concepts under communication, the number of communication channels that could be created, and the barriers to effective communication. So again, a very, very direct and a very, very simple topic that is asked. The next topic that we focus on is mathematical reasoning. Now, mathematical reasoning, I believe, since most of the social sciences students and humanities students face difficulty in these topics, this can come only with practice. The more you practice, the better you would be able to score. And specifically, over the last two papers, the June 2019, the December 2019, we have observed you have questions coming in from interest and proportion. So you have questions from simple interest, compound interest, and then ratio and proportion, which are commonly asked. So at least one question on interest is there. So simple two formulas, one for compound interest, one for simple interest. If you are able to remember those, if you are able to understand those, it's all set. Okay, so again, scoring. And then you have the number series, letter series, coding, decoding, the kind of general questions, the general mental ability questions. Now, this is the most important and the most conceptual part of it. Now, here we have taken one class on square of opposition. It's a very, very important class. The first initial classes that you see, we have one single diagram, which is AEIO. Now this is all, no, some, and some not. I definitely understand with the such quick explanation it won't be clear, but if you go and watch this video, this would become very, very clear to you. And this square of opposition is again a very, very scoring topic. I again repeat, with this single diagram that we have covered in the video, you can secure 100% for your square of opposition. What you need to remember is there are linkages that we have seen. Let's say from A to O, let's say this is true, so this would be false. If this is true, this would be false. And this is a contradictory approach. So you have the contrary, sub-contrary, contradictory, and then you have the subaltern. So those are the terms that are there, and how, if one is true, the other has to be true, or one is true, other is false. So those are the kind of general questions. Now that is square of opposition. I repeat again, don't get confused with syllogism. Under syllogism, we have a three-Venn diagram problem. Now, many of the lectures you would find, or many of the textbooks that you might be referring, might refer to solving syllogism problem. Let's say, when I say some cats are cows, some dogs are cows. Okay, so what you do is you create circles within one another, but that is an incorrect method. Let me explain you why. The reason being, there could be various arrangements for this sum. I can have the whole circle inside, I can have a little circle outside, and there could be n number of combinations that could be made. And therefore, if you are solving with this method, it's not sure, it's not guaranteed that you would end up with the right result. So the best way is a three-Venn diagram that we recommend for solving syllogism problem, one and all problems. Don't follow any other method like this. Follow this one simple diagram, one simple rule. If I'm saying all, so let's say this is dogs, cats, and buffaloes. Okay, so when I say all dogs are cats, that means dogs, if there is even one, would be cat. So that dog cannot be present in the shaded area. Similarly, when I say all buffaloes are cats, that means even if one buffalo is there, it has to be cat. So it won't be present here. Now this is the only reason. Now when I say all dogs are buffaloes, that is incorrect, because dogs could be where? Dogs could be here, dogs could be here, or dogs could be here. If the dogs are here and here, then I can say all the dogs are buffaloes. But what if all the dogs are there? So I cannot say all dogs are buffaloes. So that's how you have a premise 1, premise 2, and a conclusion that is there. So that's about syllogism. Then Indian logic is something that has been introduced of recent. We have covered one video where we have done a quick summary of 7 minutes with pramans. So what is pratyaksh, anuman, upaman? I can just have a quick understanding here. Pratyaksh is whatever you absorb through your senses. So all 5 sense organs, whatever you absorb is pratyaksh. What is anuman? Anuman is, let's say I say there is a smoke on the hill, so I can predict, since there is a smoke, there is fire. So that is a kind of ability to predict based on my previous knowledge that I have, which I have seen in a kitchen hearth, where I say when there was a smoke, there was fire. Upaman is where you are trying to compare. Let's say I go to a totally new island and I see an animal which is very, very similar to cow, and I give that animal a new name, for example, cow 4. So what happens is, this is Upaman, because I know what cow looks like and this organism is similar to the cow. So what would happen is, this organism I would name something similar to cow, and I would explain this because of my previous knowledge, which is cow. Shabd is a well-known person who has been a testimony in his field and well established, if trustworthy, if says something you would follow. So it could be, let's say, any of the religious texts that could be there, what you believe, what was there in the Vedas, or the any religious person, or any scientific person. Let's say if you are talking about scientific studies, then you have arthapati. Arthapati means implication. What does it mean? Let's say I see a fat person. I do not see him eating during the daytime, but he is fat. So definitely there is a possibility he is eating sometime. So what is that? That is in the evening. Okay, so might be he eats during that night time, and that's what is arthapati. And anuplabdhi is absence of something is also a knowledge, as simple as that. When I say this flower does not have a smell, then there is absence of a smell that is there, and that absence of a smell also is a knowledge in itself. So that is anuplabdhi. And then there is hetvabhas. Hetvabhas means there are errors. So whenever we talk about anuman, if there has been errors in those anuman, there would be hetvabhas. And this is very, very similar to the Western logic. So the Western logic fallacies can be equated to hetvabhas in Indian logic. Clear? So that was a very important topic, and the weightage for this topic over the years has increased. Again, mood and figure, you have distributed, undistributed terms. You have questions on the names, the acute names for the mood, which is again important, the formal and the informal fallacies that we have again discussed in the Indian context. So those are some of the important topics. And then deductive, inductive. So when I say inductive, it is simply ISG, moving from specific to general. So just a quick guideline about it. DI, again similar to mathematical reasoning, comes with practice. And then you have communication and information technology. So here, internet, terms related to internet, cyber security, digital India, DigiLockers, NSEDP. So those are some of the upcoming topics, gyms. So those are the topics that are in news these days and therefore important. Similarly, for the education, again, we have one of the schemes which is Vidyadan 2.0, recently released by the government, and the Vidya Mitra portal, which is the e-content portal. So some things which are contemporary are important from computing section, education section, and environment section. I won't touch this section for a while because this is something we'll be covering in a few minutes. So I'll just leave this unit as it is right now. The next is higher education. Now higher education, again, few new additions: Oriental, conventional, non-conventional learning. Oriental, what you need to know is the Indian institutions. So Nalanda, Takshila, and all those institutions have been part of it, and therefore definitely those are very very important and must be taken into account. Okay, the next important thing is value education, environmental education, newly introduced topic, one question from either of those. So again, prepare these topics wholeheartedly. There has been cases where new schemes, for example, recently introduced schemes are Nishtha, Vishaka, NEET scheme. Then you have the Diksha portal, not recent but important. You have e-yantra for robotics. So those are some of the schemes that have come up recently. And the recent edition of Yojana focuses on educational development, and a list of the schemes that have been brought by the government. In the previous expected question classes, we have covered these schemes separately. So if you are going through those schemes, you are definitely securing very very good marks. And believe, your paper 1 has 50 questions and your optional has 100 questions. So if at least not the same time, but you at least need to dedicate half of the time to your paper 1 studies. With this we finish the first section, that is the introduction. Now we'll be beginning with the today's section, and that is the people and environment as requested. Now before beginning that, if you have any questions, just put those in the chat and let me know before I start with the specific topic of people and environment. So let's move forward, and if in case any questions comes up, we'll discuss those. Okay, so coming on to people and environment. Now there are numerous aspects of people and environment. Before I come on to the exact topic, let's have a quick look onto the syllabus first. Now in this people and environment, again I would recommend one question for sure from either the Millennium Development Goal or the Sustainable Development Goal. So two small topics, cover those thoroughly and you are all set with those. National Action Plan for Climate Change, Montreal Protocol, Kyoto Protocol, Rio Summit, again very very important, at least one question. International Solar Alliance, again one question, off and on asked. And then this section on natural resources, this is a tricky section, we'll understand this in a while how. And then the topics related to pollution are conventional, but of recent we have seen there are contemporary questions asked according to it. So let's go into the intricacies of the people and environment section. Now the very first introduction is, what is biosphere, ecology and ecosystem? Common terms we have heard a lot of time, but what they actually are. So when we talk about biosphere, it's simply an interaction of land, air and water. So you have land, water and air. Whenever these land, water and air interact, you have biosphere that is seen. And this is a living zone. So for life to exist, we need to have water, land and air. Now, ecology, ecosystem, what is the difference? Ecosystem, simply put, is a combination of biotech plus abiotic, I would say. Biotech is what? It is living. Abiotic is what? It is non-living. So whenever you have a combination of living and non-living, it is ecosystem. Ecology is a functional interaction. Now functional interaction between what? It could be between organism and organism, organism and environment, or environment and organism. So let's say you have organism, environment and organism. So it could be between organism and organism, organism and environment, or environment and organism. So either this way or that way. So that is a ecology. Ecology is a functional unit. Biosphere, as we said, is the living zone, and ecosystem is the structural composition. Now again, some other important terms, those are food chain, food web, food pyramid, and then we have the various aspects which focus on, let's say, uh, energy flow. Then you have the aspects of energy. We can talk about various issues related to energy generation. Now here, a very important point comes in, and that point is where we try to understand the concept which is related to the understanding of the renewable and the non-renewable sources. Now, renewable and the non-renewable sources of energy, what do we understand there? You have either those resources which would last with you forever, for example, sun, wind, those are renewable sources. They can and they would be everlasting. However, there are non-renewable sources. Non-renewable sources are those sources which would get extinct in some point of time. Now, when would they get extinct? This is again an important question to understand. Now, how do we understand this? We understand this through the various ways, which mainly focuses on understanding the duration under which it would be taken. So let's say we say petrol reserves are limited and petrol reserves would get exhausted in certain point of time. Then you have limited resources which are there for coal, wood. So those are some of the limited resources that would be there. The next important topic that we focus on is understanding the pollutants. Now, when we talk about the pollutants, what is very, very important? These pollutants are something which is present in the atmosphere which is not desirable. So, let's say you have a guest entering into your house and you call that guest, you invite that guest, then we would say that this is something which is desirable. But let's say a very far off relative enters your house and says that I would be there residing for next 40 days, 50 days. So that would be a kind of undesirable guest. And similarly is pollutants. So whatever is present in a fixed amount would be not considered as a pollutant, but beyond a certain limit, we say it is pollutant. Now, how do we understand the pollutants? These pollutants could be either for air, they could be for water, they could be for sound. Let's say we are having this audio session and suddenly my volume zooms out to 200% or more. So what would happen? This would be a undesirable sound and you will definitely quit this session. So this would be a noise pollution. Now, these pollution that we try to understand has been categorized by various standard committees and recommendation units that are set, and AQI is the most standard of those. Now, this AQI talks about the values which are given from 0 to 500. Now, this 0 to 500 values have the color coding. Now, this is green to maroon. Now, green is a desirable level, and however, as we move below, we have the undesirable limits that are seen. Now, this is a table that you would have to memorize. Very, very important, the AQ limits, they are usually directly asked in the question paper. And you must be able to understand and comprehend the basic aspects of it. Okay, so that is a very, very important section. Now, the next important thing is whenever we talk about pollutants, you have questions like particulate matter 2.5, 5 and 10. 10 are bigger size particles, 5 are smaller and 2.5 are very, very smaller, which can get trapped in your respiratory system. Similarly, we have VOCs. VOCs are are volatile organic compounds. These are organic chemicals and they are present in very high vapor pressure. So mainly found in paints, aerosols, household paints, solvents that are there, cosmetics, some of the hobby products that could be seen. And this VOC is important. This was a question back in 2018, and then in 2019 you had questions on benzene as a pollutant. Right now you have styrene, which is very very important because of the Vishakhapatnam gas leak. So styrene becomes important. Now if styrene is important, you would have the methyl isocyanate of Bhopal gas tragedy also in news. So that's again important. Then we also talk about the hazardous materials. Now, what is the hazardous material? We classify the biomedical waste, we classify the e-waste, and all of these waste needs to be understood onto how we should proceed and how we understand these concepts there. Okay, so that is the basics of the hazardous waste. The various policy actions that have come for the hazardous waste are important. Now the next is SAFAR. What is SAFAR? Excuse me. SAFAR is a system of air quality weather forecasting. So this has been introduced in India and it basically focuses on the air pollution level of the metropolitans right now, mainly Mumbai, Pune and Delhi. We have the app where we have the SAFAR ratings that are there and the amount of pollution and the pollutants in the atmosphere. So this is again a very very important and an interesting topic. And then recently we have witnessed a lot of heat waves. Now these heat waves are also important because these heat waves adversely affect the climate of a region. Again, they are a result of the climate change. We would be covering climate change in a while. So just to have an understanding here, let's say these are the summer months. What would happen if there is normal heat? Everything would remain fine. But if the temperature, let's say, goes beyond 50 degrees or 45 degrees, it would be an extreme scenario where there would be, we would say, heat waves. In local language, we say Lu. So those would be the kind of scenario that are upcoming in news these days. And it's believed by 2030, nearly 3 billion population of the world would face severe heat strokes because of the rising temperatures. Now, as soon as I introduce the term rising temperature, this is something that I have for you. Now, here we try to understand what is a greenhouse effect. So, what is a greenhouse effect? When we say greenhouse effect, what do we actually imply? We try to understand, just a second. Okay, so when we say greenhouse effect, we try to understand how the things affect the temperature of a region. Now, how do we, or what do we mean by the temperature? Let's say this is a normal temperature that you are okay with. What would happen when the sun rays are coming in and those get trapped into the earth? They do not find a way to escape. When they do not find a way to escape, they would lead to rising temperature of the earth, and that is what is global warming. So global warming, you would see sudden rise of the temperature that would be seen, and this global warming is accentuated by what? By greenhouse gases. Now what are the major greenhouse gases? Under Kyoto Protocol, so Kyoto Protocol focuses on greenhouse gases and Montreal Protocol focuses on ozone. So very important concept, very important basic fundamental thing that you must remember. Okay, so when we focus on greenhouse gases, what are the common gases that you must know? You can just have a note there. You have carbon dioxide, you have methane, then you have nitrous oxides. Now these nitrous oxides or sulfur oxides, when combined with water, they can cause acid rain in the form of nitric acid or sulfuric acid. Again, you would have the sulfur hexafluoride, so that is SF6, and then you have perfluorocarbons. So all of those would be there, that would be significantly leading to the rising temperatures. Also you have the hydrofluorocarbons. So those are some of the most important ones which have been listed under Kyoto Protocol. Besides this, there are many greenhouse gases that are present in the atmosphere. Now, whenever we talk about these greenhouse gases, the United Nations Convention for Climate Change has talked about that from 2013 to 2020, we have at least 18% reduction in the greenhouse gases commitment that has been seen. Also, we talk about the nationally intended determined contributions that are there, and these are the contributions that each country made. So let's say in this situation of pandemic, if each country says that this is something we would contribute to WHO, then that would be a kind of intentionally nationally determined contribution from each of the countries, so that let's say a less developed country present in Africa might get a benefit out of it. And this is something that happens with the greenhouse gases. So each country decide their intentionally nationally determined contributions that they would make to provide to the world a global picture. And that is the main purpose of curbing this global warming. The idea is to restrict the rising temperature. The next is ozone depletion. Now ozone is what? If we look onto the composition, it is O3, oxygen, O2. You have two atoms of oxygen combining together forming oxygen, O2, that we breathe in. But ozone, three atoms combined together, this is O3. Now this O3, if it is present in stratosphere, now stratosphere is what? The layers of atmosphere. So the lowermost is the troposphere in which we live. Beyond it is the stratosphere. Then you have mesosphere, exosphere, and so on. So what we need to understand, this stratosphere has the ozone layer. Now this ozone layer protects the harmful ultraviolet rays B, so UVB, from entering into the earth. So therefore, in this stratosphere, ozone is very important because it would protect us from skin diseases, from various types of cancers that could be seen. The next is, what would happen if this ozone comes in the troposphere? So this tropospheric ozone, which is present due to exhaust or vehicle exhaust, is significantly harmful, and this acts as a pollutant. It is undesirable. We are happy if it is up, we are not happy if it comes into the lower layers. So understanding this fact, we need to say that ozone is a pollutant, causes severe respiratory distress, we could say, and leads to significant respiratory problems. So understanding ozone is again important. Ozone and the study of ozone carried under Montreal Protocol is important. And then what is climate change? Now climate change is something that is being either produced naturally through the natural processes or through the anthropogenic or human made process. So both of those are some of the basic causes for this climate change to occur. Now, because of the climate change, we do not say that there is just rise in temperature that is seen. There could be something much beyond the rise in the temperature. What is that? This could be in the form of sudden changes. Let's say, talk about the present scenario. We have severe cyclonic conditions, Amphan, then Nisarg. So what is going around is there are significant climate changes. These cyclones used to be there, but they were not in the form of super severe cyclones. They were depressions. Now they are turning from depressions to cyclonic storms to intense cyclonic storms and then severe. So that is a climate change. Sudden changes in the weather phenomena, where there could be severe heat stroke followed by extreme cold conditions, snowfall, rainfall that could be seen. So that is again a climate change. So all these are part of the climate change phenomena that is there. The next important thing that we need to understand is the International Solar Alliance. Now, International Solar Alliance, as we said, is a very important topic. You have a recent edition of International Solar Alliance that has been seen. Now, this is an initiative of India and France together. All the countries lying between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So, Tropic of Cancer in the north and Tropic of Capricorn in the south. So 23 degrees north and 23 degrees south, 23 and a half degrees north and south is the area where we have the Tropic of Cyclone. Sorry, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. And here we have the zone, which is the zone which receives very good amount of sunlight. Now, since we have defined that this zone is a zone which receives very good amount of sunlight, what would happen? We would try to utilize most of the sunlight, and therefore we have this project of International Solar Alliance in collaboration with India and France initially, and thereafter you had nearly 130 nations which are now part of it. You have a global solar atlas that has been prepared, and this is the first international unit whose headquarters are based in India in Gurugram. So again, strategically very important for India. We talk about contributing for the solar alliance, and we say that our contributions would be significant among the world contributions. So it could be in the form of solar lightings, it could be in the form of use of solar lamps, solar cookers, it could be used for solar heaters, so water heaters. So those are some of the common uses that we have explained under the International Solar Alliance. Also, we have a lot of funding coming from World Bank. So again, that is one of the important questions that could be part of it. And then we talk about a next important concept, which is the National Action Plan on Climate Change. 8 important segments for it. Now these 8 important segments are something that you would have to memorize. There could be a direct question, which of the following is not part of your National Action Plan on Climate Change? So you have the solar mission, which is again a derivative of the International Solar Alliance. You have the enhanced energy efficiency, where we aim at increasing efficiency. Mission on sustainable habitat. Sustainable, what does the word itself mean? The sustainable word itself means that we are trying to conserve something in such a fashion that it would be available for the future generations. Let's say we have coal, we have petroleum reserves, but we are not finishing that. What we are trying to do is we are trying to bring in substitutes. It could be in the form of electric cars, it could be in the form of solar lighting that could be seen, and we are trying to reduce our usage of the coal, the petrol. Now this would help those reserves last a little longer. In the previous scenario, if they were about to last only 10 years, now they might last for 20 years, 50 years or 100 years. Okay, so that is National Mission for Sustainable Habitat. So we are trying to develop sustainable living scenarios. Water. Now India recently released the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, where we aim to provide drinkable water to all the households. So that is again a part of National Water Mission. We have a national mission for Green India. We aim to increase the forest cover to at least 33%. A national mission for sustaining the Himalayan ecosystem, again very important. Himalayan ecosystem and northeast Himalayan area is believed to be one of the most critical regions, and therefore conservation of that is really important and rather challenging as well. So we need to understand how these need to be checked. And finally, a strategy for climate change. So that is about the NPCC. The next topic that we would focus on is, as I said, a confirmed question on sustainable development goals versus a millennium development goal. So what we understand here is sustainable development goals. You have 17 goals that were laid down, and the millennium development goals, you have 8 goals that have been defined. Now millennium development goals already over from 2000 to 2015. From 2015 to 2030, you have sustainable development goals. Direct question, which of the following is a millennium development goal, sustainable development goal? The table is here, you have to memorize here. Again, we have a mnemonic which we have covered on the channel. So students who want to go into more detail, definitely you should go into more detail. So you can check that videos out. We have again the QR code for the same. Okay, I believe so far there are no questions or issues. If you have any questions, any doubts, feel free to raise those. The next is the difference between Biosphere Reserve, National Park, Sanctuary. Again covered in this lecture. Important because in 2019 December you had one of the questions on Biosphere Reserve. So Biosphere Reserve, you have the core, and then you have the buffer area and the marginal area. Now this core and buffer area are important. The core areas in the biosphere reserves are the areas where there are no human activities allowed. However, in the peripheral areas you have human activity and research activities which are allowed. So what is the difference between these three is again an important aspect. The next is these kind of questions that is based on data and that you must know. Two examples we would be covering. One is this and the other is the benzene emission. Both of those were part of your December 2019 and therefore we have covered it here. So in December 2019, it was a question, which of the following has a least contribution for electricity generation? So as we can see, thermal has the maximum proportion. Now this thermal has the maximum proportion, followed by hydro, then wind, then nuclear, and the least is with the solar. Now the question, interestingly, in 2019 combined nuclear, I believe nuclear and solar, or solar and wind, something like that. So what you need to know is, if you are combining two of those, whether it would be greater than the third one or the proportions would be less. So some of the key statistics, it could be in the form of pollutants going into the river, pollutants going into the ocean, maximum contribution, was it sewage, water, was it industrial waste, was it agricultural waste, or so on. The next is methane emissions, again similar. Now methane emissions, recently it has been in news that you have a lot of methane emission coming from the stomach of the ruminants, of the animals. Then you have fossil, where you have burning of the fossil fuels, where you have methane emissions that are seen. Also, over the years we have seen landfills. Landfills are one of the major contributors of methane, and the amount of methane in the atmosphere has nearly become double in the last 250 years. So again, methane is very, very important and has been a lot in news. Paddy fields, you have lot of methane emission. Rice fields, paddy means rice. So rice fields, you have lot of methane emissions that are seen. And then you also have wetlands. Now wetlands themselves contribute to 20% of the total atmospheric methane. So the emissions from the release from the, not the emissions we could say, the release from the wetlands are very, very important in terms of emissions for the methane. The next is benzene. Now benzene, you won't believe, even a car, if it is parked, it would release benzene. If it is moving, it would release nearly 5 to 10 times than it is parked. Similarly, lot of benzene is found in electronic substances, electronic things. Then you have benzene which is seen mainly in the car seats, car sofas, air fresheners, and this benzene is highly, highly detrimental to health. You have diseases like anemia, cancer associated with it. Mainly from the auto exhaust industrial emissions, you have lot of benzene coming into the atmosphere. So C6H6 is benzene. Now we also have styrene, as I said, Vishakhapatnam tragedy. So that is C8H8. So this is 6 carbon, 6 hydrogen, that is 8 carbon, 8 hydrogen. The next is the contemporary topics. Now, the contemporary topics, some of the very recent ones that I have picked up. Now, before your NET examination, obviously there would be many new happenings that would be there. So, you must be aware about the recent happenings. Now, how to be aware about it? On the ExamRace current affairs section on the website, we have the various categories. You can just go on to environment and check out the contemporary happenings. So recently we have seen an increase in the spread of anthrax disease in elephants, bacterial disease. You have wetland conventions that are there. Ramsar is one of the major conventions. So new Ramsar sites being discovered. Air pollution has been linked to glaucoma. Glaucoma is the blindness. So it's an eye disease. Styrene, as we already discussed a lot of time, very important, extremely important for your upcoming exam. Arsenic contamination. Now, in the west part of India, in the regions of Rajasthan, you have fluoride contamination. In the east part of India, in the regions of West Bengal, you have arsenic contamination. Both of those are highly toxic if they are present in higher atmospheric proportions. Again, you have pangolins that have been used because pangolins are considered as a carrier for the COVID-19. Now, it is believed that it is spread from bats to pangolins, and pangolins is being used extensively in various medicines and for food purposes in China, and it is spread to pangolin and from pangolin to human beings. So pangolin again important. Lassa fever is due to the infected rodents, and it is a hemorrhagic fever which could lead to bleeding of the head or the brain, we could say. And there are various endemic diseases caused by rats similar to Lassa fever. So plague is the most common one that you know. So again, endemic diseases because of rats, Lassa fever, very important. Mercury. Issues related to mercury have been addressed in the Minamata Convention. So mercury poisoning, mercury contamination, similarly lead poisoning because of the paint. The previous paints in the houses had a lot of lead, and lead proportions are to be checked. And similarly, we have numerous schemes that have been brought out by the government. Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana is one of those schemes. So that's the Jaiv Indhan, the biofuels. So that's again important. We have also did a dummy flight from Delhi to Dehradun, and that was a blend of bioethanol and biodiesel basically that was produced. So again, important development. Then you would have issues related to rivers, linkaging of rivers, heat waves, as we already discussed, COVID-19 and related scenarios, environmental issues related to those, how over the time period we have seen reduction in the air pollution, smog, which is a combination of smoke and fog. So that's some of the important topics that are there. Now touching up to the last section for today, and that are the kind of questions that usually come up. So some of the questions that are there, like the methane, the benzene emissions, the electricity generation proportion graph that we discussed, are some of those that we have already talked about. But before that, we also have many more interesting topics that are there. Okay, now here we have another question that was there. Now this says, which of the following natural hazards has relatively slow onset? Now of these we can understand droughts are the one which are slowest. Volcano definitely occurs all of the sudden. Landslides, wildfires are quite sudden. So this is a different option that is there. So this was a kind of one of the questions from natural hazards. The next is the name of the tropical cyclone. Now, interestingly, in June 2019, this was a question. I believe this is again important for your June. Now, not in June, but whenever your next exam is. For 2019, because you have two new cyclones, tropical cyclones that are there, and those are the Amphan on the regions of West Bengal and Nisarg to be witnessed either today or tomorrow in the regions of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Now, what are the different names? So it's called as hurricanes in the regions of North Atlantic, Northeast Pacific. It is called as cyclones in the region of South Pacific, Indian Ocean, and it's called as typhoons in the regions of Northwest Pacific. So those are the different names for it. The next question is, now this is a very important question. Earthquake, which comes under the study of seismograph, we have Richter scale and Mercalli scale. So Richter scale, we measure the earthquake, the amplitude and the energy released. So amplitude is 10 times from one Richter scale. Let's say I am moving on a Richter scale from 4 to 5. Amplitude would increase 10 times and the energy released would increase 32 times. So that is something you must know. This was a question in June 2019, and again this was a question that was asked way back in 2014-15, I believe. So very important concept. Similar kind of concepts get repeated. So again I recommend students solving past papers, at least last 10 sets are very important. The next is a very direct question which focuses on green building. So green building definitely aims to minimize the amount of energy that is there, and also aims to conserve the natural resources and create a space for a healthy living. It is not meant to generate waste. It is not meant to consume a lot of water. Okay, so both of those are not correct option, and this is something that is based even on a general knowledge. Now here, this was a question which was asked already. It appears, seeing now, that this was a prediction that there would be a styrene gas tragedy that would occur. But this is a question that talks about the major gas tragedies. So Bhopal gas tragedy linked to methyl isocyanate. Then you have Chernobyl linked to nuclear accident. You have Los Angeles smog, which is linked to the acetyl nitrates. And the Love Canal tragedy linked to dumping of the hazardous substance. Now, Love Canal is near the Niagara Falls in the region of New York. And you have huge number of housing community that was affected because of the dumping of the hazardous substance. And this was called as Love Canal tragedy. So again, you have addition, the Visakhapatnam tragedy and the styrene gas. The next is, you have to identify the correct group which is caused by polluted water. Now, tuberculosis is a airborne infection. So wherever you have tuberculosis, you can rule that out. So that only option remains is D, and that's your answer. So cholera, typhoid, diarrhea and polio are all waterborne, and they are caused by polluted or unclean water. So those are some of the kind of questions that usually come up for your exam, and this was some of the quick summaries that we have introduced and discussed here. Now I would like to ask you if you have any questions, any doubts in what we have discussed so far. I definitely thank Shivaji for organizing this, and I believe students found it useful, and those students who have any further queries or doubts can definitely contact Shivaji and let me know for any clarifications that is required. I believe some of the important things that you must keep in mind for your NET examination is, one, be consistent with your practice and definitely solve last 10 papers. Very important, because you would get an idea, and this idea would be regarding what kind of questions come. More or less the types of questions that are asked are more or less similar. Specifically from what we have discussed today, the people and environment section, the recent years we have witnessed, there are no direct questions, no bookish questions, I would say. Questions are more based on recent happenings, so you have to be very well aware with the recent developments. There is a fortnightly magazine which is known as Down to Earth. The highlights of those are covered on the channel every fortnightly. So that is something you can cover for your environment section. Environment is a very scoring topic because it's very theoretical. You don't have to put in much logic as in Indian logic and the Hetvabas and the Indian philosophy, Western philosophy constructs. Indeed, that is also interesting in scoring. I won't say that that is not scoring, but yes, this is very factual. If you are going through the basics, you can definitely score very good in the people and environment. Quick idea about paper 1, I would say the 5 questions on reading comprehension and the 5 questions on DI. So you have 10 questions there, then 1 question on sustainable development or millennium development, 3 to 4 questions on research aptitude, 2 to 3 questions on teaching aptitude that are there. You have 2 to 5 questions on communication and computing. Now this could be converting a binary to decimal, decimal to binary. Now this changes. In June, there were all the questions from computing that were asking about conversion of binary to decimal, decimal to binary, octadecimal, hexadecimal, and so on. But in December edition, there were no such questions. All questions were related to data and governance, were related to hacking, were related to cyber securities, IP protocols. So those were the kind of questions that were coming. So again, there is a kind of switch in the type of questions that are asked in the examination. So make sure that you definitely join a kind of systematic framework. It's not that you are completing one topic and leaving the other topic totally, because there could be repetitions that could be seen after 2 years, 3 years of time. And another important section that we have witnessed is the writing styles, the APA, Chicago and MLA writing style. I believe your English, not literature, but yes, in English you might have studied those, so just check those as well. So any other questions? Any other doubts?